It's the beginning of a new month, which means that there's going to be new tier drops, and this is the month that NU is going to get a lot of drops. Last month, for example, RU got a bunch of drops, and that completely shifted the RU metagame. So this month, it's NU's turn, and we've got a ton of drops that are just going to completely turn this metagame on its head. It looks like my opponent is using a theme from the previous tier shifts, but that doesn't mean it's not scary. They've got Sticky Web, they've got Fake Out, and Extreme Speed Priority, and they've got Scrafty, which is quite good, and Inteleon is still not too shabby, although I do have a Tentacruel, and an Assault Vest Muck, and a Scarf Rotom, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to lead off with my Rotom here, because I feel like they're going to lead off with Vikavolt, and I'm just going to Volt Switch. They might not be Focus Sash, but if they are, then I just want to be as threatening as possible right away. So we're just going to go Regidrago, and the crazy part about Regidrago is that he just forces a Tera, for the most part. Here they're going to get to go Fake Out, so that is not going to necessarily be how it's going to work in this instance, but a lot of times he just forces a Tera right away. Alright, here, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do, just because I don't really have any physical defensive Pokemon on this team. I might even just sack this. So they actually go for Triple Axle. If I'd have gone a Tentacruel there, that would have been bad for my opponent. As now we'll just Rapid Spin, and unless they're Terra Ghost on the Ambipom, which they probably aren't, I don't think they can knock me out. They might be able to knock me out with Double Hit or something, but I'm guessing that they will not, and then I'll get the Rapid Spin off. Okay, they're Aerial Ace, which is a weird choice, I think, from my opponent. I wonder what Aerial Ace is for. Heracross, maybe? I mean, it's good into fighting types generally speaking, but I don't know how I feel about that. As they try to go Tatsugiri on a supposed water move, but we are able to two-shot that, which is fantastic. I'll take that. I actually don't like this Pokemon very much. I'm guessing they're just going to go for the Fake Out. Go for Terra normal Fake Out, which is fine by me, because now they've wasted their Terra. Here, I can just Volt Switch on them, and hopefully they're not going to scout for the Choice Scarf. And I'll take care of the Ambipom and the Terra. And that's why I was okay with it. Here I'm going to go into Whimsicott, because that's going to force in the Arcanine. If I had gone into Mienshao or something, they could have gone into the faster Inteleon. But Whimsicott, I think, forces in the Arcanine always, which I can just turn on. If they're Choice Scarf, we'll find out, but hopefully they're not, because I do want the Whimsicott for the Scrafty. Here, I don't really want to go Rotom, just because it is quite nice in Inteleon, but it's at the same time my only Fire type resist. And I'm just going to Volt Switch here first. I could have gone for Terra Blast, Terra Water. I think this is better. And at this point, I'm just going to sack Mienshao because it's not doing anything. And then from here, I don't know if this is Choice Banded. It might be. This is good because now I just get to throw up a Moonblast. I wanted to make sure that my positioning was good into Scrafty. I think they are Choice Band, which is why they were forced to switch there, so that they could go for Extreme Speed later on. Out of curiosity, Whimsicott, Arcanine, and Yushanang, you said, sure, why not? 20%. At this point, I don't really need this Mon. So if they go for Extreme Speed, I can do that, yep. And then what we're going to do is we're going to Terra Steel, and I should live it. And I could have gone for Terra Steel before, but if they had gone for Flare Blitz, it would have been a wasted Terra, so it was better to not do that. Then I'm just gonna Giga Drain here. They actually have Vacuum Wave, which is sort of a fun little tech. We have Muck, and I'll just go for the knockoff. And now that they don't have Scope Lens, it's a 50% chance to crit, as opposed to a 100% chance, I think. Let's just quickly do a calc here. Inteleon, and use Showdown usage. Shadow Sneak does 20% min. Okay, so we can just Shadow Sneak there. Alright, so we get a win in game 1. Because they had double priority, Regidrago wasn't able to do as much as I would have liked, because Regidrago does not like priority. That's like it's one of its weaknesses, I would say. That and obviously Steel and, well, to a lesser extent Steel, and then Fairy types. Here... Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. 355. Okay. Very weird. I'm actually going to trick this, because I bet it's going to be annoying. They go for Stealth Rock. I'm going to Volt Switch out on the Ursaring, which means that I can go now. I'm going to go for the Stone Edge, as I unfortunately miss. I was Stone Edging in case they want Fletchinder. I don't know why they have a Fletchinder, because I'm pretty sure Talonflame is in the tier, so I don't understand that. But whatever. I'm just going to go Regidrago now, and we're just going to go for Outrage. Getting rid of the Ursaluna is good. It's quite scary. If this were Choice Scarf Regidrago, my opponent would be in a major pickle. But I think this is okay too. They just go for that, which is fantastic. I'm Lumberry, not so much for the confusion, but more so that I can set up a Dragon Dance. But it does work in this instance. And now, I'm going to go Whimsicott in case they decide to close combat again, because I'll resist that, and then I can go for the Giga Drain because I will outspeed, and I'll get rid of the Lycanroc without an Endeavor or anything annoying like that. Here I'm just going to go hard into Rotom because I don't want to deal with Fletchinder's Gale Wings, which it looks like my opponent does have. Here I'm going to go for the Overheat. I do expect the Dunsparce to come out. Maybe the Shaman on a Volt Switch, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense. And I do need this for Fletchinder. I don't think here you would go... Not sure. But Regidrago is very slow into my opponent's team, so I'm actually going to sack it now. To go for Body Slam, which is okay. At this point, I'm going to go for a Rapid Spin. Hopefully they don't paralyze me, but they probably will, as they do. But we do get the Rapid Spin off, which I will take. Because now I can, now that I know that my Tentacruel outspeeds 328, I can just go back into my Whimsicott, or even into my Rotom. As I think I'll go into Whimsicott. The reason I wanted to get the Stealth Rock off there is because I really don't want my Rotom taking the Stealth Rock every time it comes in, and I do need to come in probably frequently on the Fletchinder. But now that we are in, this is a pretty free Volt Switch, as they just sack it to get a Tailwind off. They're almost 100,000% Gale Wings, yeah. Alright. I'm gonna go Muck. I think it matches up most favorably into these two guys. I don't have any physical bulk, but I have a good amount of HP. So here, I think Knockoff is the stronger of the two moves. And I knock off and OHKO them. They barely miss out on that, which I will definitely take. And I'm just gonna Shadow Sneak here. So they actually have Quick Attack. What an insane tech. I mean, Shaman, I don't even know. Shaman has so many valuable things that can run, I don't see that as being a particularly valuable move to go for. I'm going to go for Encore, because as we saw, that quick attack doesn't do anything. So now they're forced to go in for that, at least for the next couple turns. I'm going to go for Encore here because they'll probably try to get out of that. And then I can just Terra Steel and kill them with the Moonblast. Again, I could have Terra Astralized before, but I wasn't sure how that was going to play out in the endgame, so I was just saving my Terra in case I needed it. Although, thinking about it, probably I should have just Terra Astralized. But yeah, Whimsicott. I think Whimsicott is great in the current metagame. The reason I would say it's good in the current metagame is because there's going to be a lot of setup, and with Regidrago now being out, and there's a bunch of fighting types in the tier, I think if you use it in more of a support role, it's going to be quite good. That's my personal opinion. But being able to Encore so many guys is a really valuable trait to have right now. Okay, now we're facing off against a somewhat strange team. This is Sun, and Sun is a huge problem right now. In NU, I would say it's not that fun of a matchup. But fortunately, my opponent doesn't really seem to be abusing it too well. I'm just going to lead Regidrago, because again, my opponent has no fairy type. All they have is Quagsire, and I don't think you switch hard Quagsire in on Regidrago, because you don't know if I'm physical or special. Apparently you do that thing that I just said, which is insane to me. Okay, now we're going to turn out, because they're not going to stay in. They're going to probably go into Venusaur. If I had to guess, maybe back into Ninetales. That works too. I want to quickly check the damage calc on this. Regidrago versus Quagsire. Or you're physically defensive. It's all the same, I suppose. Average is a 2 KO. I think I'm just going to use this to break. I don't really need to break Quagsire, because as you can see, I have Giga Drain on Muck. Oh, well, there goes Mienshao. I have the Whimsicott, I have a Rotom Heat, and they have Sun, so it'll take less from water moves or whatever. But I don't think this is going to go the way my opponent thinks it's going to go. Because they're still 2 KO'd by this, and they have no fairy type. I don't know why Regidrago is allowed in NU. I think this is the Mon they need to be the most worried about. Regidrago is an incredibly abusable Pokemon. I resist Venusaur's fire move and its grass move, and must go for poison move if it wants to have a shot at knocking me out. Infernape could close combat. I think that's probably their best bet to getting rid of me. Get a crit, I don't know if that mattered. Yeah, I'm just going to go for the Choice Scarf Volt Switch. Now that I've gotten rid of Quagsire, I'm completely free to Volt Switch. I think the only real threat now is Venusaur, if I let it get a growth, and potentially Necrozma. Ooh, they were Choice Scarf of their own, and they failed to KO me, which I will 100% take. I'm gonna go Mienshao here, because they should go Ninetales. They go Necrozma, that's fine. Well, U-turn here. Fortunately, they weren't weakness policy. I just went into Whimsicott there in case they went for Trick Room. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna go Muck now, and I'll just click Knock Off. That'll do good damage to Ninetales. They actually go Venusaur. What in the world is that kind of play? That is an insane play. I'm gonna actually go Mienshao here. The reason I went Mienshao was because I didn't want them to chip my Muck, and I didn't care about my Mienshao. At this point, I'm just gonna sack this, man. I don't need it for anything. That's good damage. Yeah. And they went for Power Herb predicting something. Alright. So they sack that there. Then we go Muck here, and we'll just click the Poison Jab. And I don't think they can KO me with Earth Power or even Weather Ball. That was a crit. That did no type of damage. So fortunately for me, my opponent wasn't really abusing Sun in this instance. And so they didn't really have that much offensive presence. And I'm not really getting guys that are high up on the ladder, but that's okay because I do have a replay to end off today's live with that I really want to show you guys. I got this replay the other day when I was just testing the team, and the Whimsicott put in an insane amount of work. I think, like I said before, Whimsicott is fantastic in this current metagame. So looking at my opponent's team, once again, they have absolutely no fairy type answer. So Regidrago is free if I can get it in, right? Obviously, I'm not going to bring it on Noivern. And if they have Slowbro out, that's a little bit annoying just because I am a physical Drago. If I were mixed, I could even throw off Draco Meteors or Dragon Energies, and that would be great too. But if I can get it in on a slower Pokemon like Rhyperior or Muck, then they just have to decide who to sack because they have no fairy types. At the very least, if they have a Fairy Tera, they can go for that, but Regidrago forces Teras. And once you've forced your opponent to exhaust the Terastallization, then they're in a much worse position. So let's see how they lead off. I lead off with my Scarf Rotom because they only have one Pokemon that can absorb Volt Switch, and they turn out to be Scarf Rotom as well. So I'm really lucky that I lose that speed tie there because I can actually get good information. They do go into the Rhyperior, but at this point we're just making safe plays. I'm going to go Whimsicott here as they go for Stealth Rock. That's fair enough. They're obviously not going to stay in, so I go for the U-turn out as they go into Muck. Fair enough. This is the Pokemon I wanted to have Regidrago on. This is where my opponent makes their first huge mistake. I actually know that I've got my my Lundberry. I don't care if I get Toxic. And so I actually get to get a +1 up, which means now that I am going to outspeed Non-Scarf Nianshao. I am going to speed Noivern. We know this is Choice Scarf and their Tera Fairy, which forces them to Tera. So I've wasted their Tera. They go for Trick there because they can't actually kill me with any move. So now I can save a Choice Scarf Regidrago as they go into their for Nasty Plot. So the Nasty Plot Trick, which is seen sometimes on Rotom, because you really only need 2 moves, Overheat and Volt Switch. I'm willing to trade my Rotom, which struggles against their Rhyperior, for that damage. And they're not Scarf anymore. We're once again just going to make a safe play here, and we know the Slowbro is going to come out. There I tried to bluff being Choice or something, but it was not a bluff because obviously rocks are up, so that's why I didn't go for U-turn, otherwise I should have. Yeah, just go for a save Giga Drain. I know I need to keep my Whimsicott healthy, and I don't want to over-predict. That being said, I do make a bit of a prediction here that they're not going to go for Hurricane or something. This Rhyperior here is extremely specially defensive. Once again here, I just want to get recovery, so now I've shown my opponent I'm willing to stay in. I know they're going to go for Hurricane here. I am going to switch. I've got my Assault Vest, Alolan Muck, and for my impudence earlier, I get punished because I get confused as they U-turn now. I know they're going Rhyperior, so here I Giga Drain, but you'll just have to take my word for it because I get myself in confusion. But now I really want to get damage off on this guy, so I'm going to Tera Grass. I snap out of confusion, and you can see here that does no type of damage. That's insane. This Rhyperior is so specially bulky, and I get crit. And I think that crit might have mattered because this is so specially bulky that it probably doesn't have any attack investment. All right, here we know they're going into Slowbro. I'm just going to U-turn out because now I want to go into Whimsicott and apply more pressure. Fortunately, at this point, they can only go into Rhyperior a few times. Right before they were tanking the Moonblasts, but now I can just freely Moonblast anything on their team. They've already Terastallized the Rotom, and the Rotom's low. Nobody else appreciates Moonblast. Gotta save this guy. Even though my Muck went down, my Tentacruel is also very specially bulky. And this is not Boots Cruel. I don't think Boots Cruel is particularly good because you want to get a Rapid Spin off, and once you do, you don't need your Boots anymore. And you'd prefer to have some form of recovery on a Pokemon that can take a hit or two. So here I'm going to do a bit of stalling, and the stalling here is not so much to... it's not to be annoying, it's just because I want to get more recovery, and I want to waste their recovery. My recovery is passive. I would also love if they went into Slowbro and let it get poisoned. I don't actually know if this is Boots or not, but if it's not Boots for whatever reason, then it would be nice to allow it to get poisoned. So I'm just going to leave these up, as my opponent seems to not want them to be up at the very least. They're defogging. Maybe it's Colbert, you know. I just wanted to get poisoned. And as you can see, because I've been stalling out, my Tentacruel is now all the way back up to full with just leftovers recovery. And I really also would like to get a poison jab on this Noivern if possible. As you can see, I've already gone through a good chunk of poison jabs, and now we're down to 27. I've gone for 5 now, and I still haven't gotten a poison. I think poison jab is 30% poison chance, and I still haven't gotten a single one. So it's not that big of a deal because, as you can see, they don't switch into poison jab, especially because if I do poison the Slowbro, then they're going to be sad about that. At this point, they're just spamming roosts, and you can see that they're down to not very many roosts left. Finally, after going for 8 poison jabs, I finally get a poison. A single one. And that will help me get this Noivern down low. I go just for a rapid spin here, because I wasn't sure how much longer my opponent wanted to stay in. And I thought maybe I needed the PP, but I decided after that that no. Probably just better to go for poison jab. And I think at this point they're down to 1 roost left. Yeah. So they have a single roost left, so this Noivern is exhausted almost all of its recovery. As here, they're going to decide that they need to get out, because now I'm going to outspeed them and I will KO them. So they're going to sack, they're not going to sack. They're going to go Slowbro here, which is a bit of a risky play because I could have gotten a poison there, but of course I'm not going to get it. I'll just flip turn out. I need to save the Tentacruel for the Noivern and for the Mienshao. And Whimsicott can come out on whatever the Slowbro wants to go for. Here I'm obviously just going to go for Giga Drain, because like I said before, I need recovery. And what's crazy is that that would be a 2-hit KO technically, but as a really risky 2-hit KO, I'm going to go for Moonblast. Here we switch out again into Tentacruel. They're probably just going to Hurricane. I actually go for U-turn, which is fine by me, because this doesn't apply much pressure. We got a lot of recovery back with the Mienshao, so I could go into the Whimsicott if I wanted to pretty safely. And they actually go for Calm Mind, which is not a great play on their part, because I do have Encore. If I didn't have Encore, Calm Mind Slowbro might have the potential to endgame me. I go for Moonblast there just in case they decide to go to Noivern, now that they've been Encored, right? At any given point along here, they could totally have gone into their Noivern. I think there I could have Giga Drained just because this is the turn they probably would go. But I have to go for Encore. It's the most safe, and as you can see, because of poison, they're forced to roost here if they don't want to die. I'm not willing to risk my Whimsicott now that I see how good and important it is into Slowbro. So I'll allow them to get off that roost. But Tentacruel can just come out here. And I can set up a Toxic Spike in case it's good into the Slowbro. I don't know still. So we're just going for that. The Whimsicott again is healthy enough that it can take one size shock. And at this point, Giga Drain is free. As you can see, it takes me all the way back up to where I just was. So I'm not even losing any health off of that. If they sack the Rotom Heat, we already know that it's not a fire type, so it'll just die. Go for Moonblast in case they go into Noivern, because it is a little bit healthier that turn. And because I leave myself a little bit low, and as you can see, they keep defogging, right? Keep defogging, so I'm pretty sure this is not Boots. It must be Colbert or something like that. Here, I forget what I went for. Did I go for Flip Turn here? Yeah, I did. It was pretty obvious that they were going to switch out, and even if they didn't, I knew that I would underspeed them. So now I can just go for the Giga Drain because it's really safe. I know this Noivern has no recovery left. They've already lost their roost. So all I have to do now is just go into anything, and it'll die. It's actually U-turn out, which is okay with me. Here, my Whimsicott is a little bit low, it's 25%, so we're not going to go into it. We're going to go into Regidrago, and the Regidrago is going to do a good chunk to the Slowbro, right? This is unboosted, 47%, not bad. I could have gone for... I could not have gone for a Dragon Dance because I'm Choice Scarf now. Keep that in mind. Here's an important play. So here I'm actually going to stay in, and the reason I stay in is because now that scares my opponent into thinking, oh, he's going to keep trying to go for those outrages, and it's basically a two-shot. And that forces them to go for a slack off, and I know that their Noivern is going to die to poison here. So that's why we make that play. And now that the Slowbro has come in, I can just Giga Drain. And they don't even have a Calm Mind boost, so the Giga Drain is going to do a ton of damage. And I my opponent forfeits at that point. And this opponent at that time had 1537 points. So off of that, on this particular alt, I got a lot of points out of that. And that's why, even though your GXC is a good indicator of your skill level as a player, you never want to count anybody out on the ladder, no matter where they are on the ladder, because people have alts. You can be 1,000, but also be a top of the ladder player. And so respecting people, no matter where they are on the ladder, of course, is important. But this guy had so many points, he was above the normal cutoff of 1,500, right? This is somebody who's an active ladder player. And we were able to take him down pretty easily with the combination of Whimsicott and Regidrago. And in this game particularly, Tentacruel also is a fantastic Pokemon. So I think Regidrago is probably something they're going to have to look at in the coming days, because it just forces KOs and it forces Teras. And if you don't have a Fairy type on your team, you're in trouble. That's one of the reasons why I put Whimsicott on this team when I was team building. Because I was just looking at all the setup mons that got dropped. Gyarados, Regidrago. There's so many setup Pokemon, and you've got to have an Encore guy in the back. And Whimsicott is a great Encore Pokemon because as a Fairy type, you also threaten the Dark types. The only problem is, you know, when they have a Scrafty and then they turn it into a Poison type and then they sweep it from there. But so it's not perfect, but you do have to. You know, you should play a little bit smart, you're okay, I think, in most instances. And I think Whimsicott's value has gone up dramatically with all the setup going around. But that's today's video, and I'll catch you guys next time.